All right, raise your hand if you've ever gotten embarrassed or stressed by your toddler's or young child's lack of table manners. Maybe you just thought, it's unfortunate, but it's just kids being kids. Well, I've got some tips for you today. Stay tuned. Hi, Krista from Moms Find Truth here. And we all, as parents, young parents of young children, want dinner time at our house or at someone else's house or going out to a restaurant. We want it to be a pleasant time. And yes, the atmosphere at a table with young children is never going to be identical to that at a table of all adults. Okay. Not promising you that. That's not what I'm here for. Okay. But I think a lot of us have gotten to the point of assuming that even having a pleasant, under control meal with several young children is out of the realm of possibilities. And a lot of us are even hesitant to go over to someone else's house or to a restaurant because we can almost guarantee that it's going to be a hectic and embarrassing time. And that's why I'm here. Because no, perfection is not achievable, but significant improvement is. And the important thing to remember is that this will not only be benefiting your present, your right now, so that you can have more social get-togethers without fear. But it will also be benefiting your children long term because the lessons I want to help you teach them, it's not just about behaving while at a restaurant. It's about self-control. It's about learning the skill of habits and being aware of your surroundings. There's so many things to be learned here that's going to be benefiting them for the long haul. So let's get into my tips. I have 3 tips I want to share with you today. Now, as you get into these 3 tips, these are very good starter tips. Obviously, every child's different, every home life's different, every parent's personality is different. So if you get into this and you really dive in and start teaching these skills to your kids and you hit a question or a concern or a roadblock, please, please, please comment down below. I would love to hear about it. And I have been teaching 4 children with 4 very different personalities these skills for a while now. And I'm sure I have some level of insight that I can give, or at least encouragement along the path. Because as we know, teaching new skills and habits to young children requires patience. And so sometimes that can be frustrating, and sometimes you can feel, am I getting anywhere? Or am I hitting a brick wall? And having another mom step alongside you and say, it is so worth it. Yes, you are getting somewhere. When you get down the weeds, it can be hard to see it. But when you step back up and look at the big picture, you are making wonderful steps forward here, and so is your child. So again, I fully recognize that I'm asking you to teach your young children brand new habits, and that when you start these from scratch, it can be intimidating. But I also want to follow that up by saying, I'm here for you in any way that you need. Just let me know. All right, so tip number 1 is to, again, different families, different schedules, I get it. But to the best of your ability, try to eat most of your meals together at the table. And I mean, we all know that's the ideal thing anyway. So it is something worthwhile to strive for regardless. But when you're teaching your children table manners, it is easiest from their point of view to kind of start to get into the mind, like have that switch flip on in their brains. That when I'm here, when I'm at a table, when I'm sitting in this nice space with the dishes in front of me and the food and everyone's in this circle and no distractions, I'm here. That now I need to focus and on behaving the way I should at a table. These skills that we want to come automatically have to be taught. And the more circumstance we can set up as reminders, the better. So the more often we are all sitting around the table, eating a meal together, and when we do that, these rules are enforced. These rules will now be associated with sitting at a table and eating a meal. And so no, when you sit in front of the TV for a movie night and eat, these rules might go out the window, and that's okay. When you're eating popcorn in the movie theater, these rules might go out the window, and that's okay. Our main goal right here is in a space where you are having a dinner with your family or a different family or in a public space, that your kids, these rules will eventually become second nature. And I will say there have definitely been seasons in my parenthood that screens and other things have been more prevalent, through difficult pregnancies and times of illness and, whatever the case may be. But I do believe that the ideal during a mealtime is that the families gather together, not just to have some time away from screens, but also to develop in our children the skills of not just table manners, but communication and eye contact and just how to behave in other social situations in life. And so how we tend to do mealtime is I try to, and when I say mealtime, I'm talking about breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I try to have either a time where we just sit and chat, or I have some topic cards I'll link down below that I use, every maybe once or twice a week to help get their minds working towards how to start conversations, continue conversations, what variety of topics you can talk about. And then another thing that I would say what we most regularly do during a mealtime is I read aloud. And again, we talk throughout the book, hearing their thoughts on what I'm reading, and it usually rabbit trails into other thoughts that they have. I try to do some light books, some more education or deeper books, and just see where conversation goes. This is teaching vocabulary. This is teaching the younger ones. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old also, and it's teaching them to sit and to listen and to, it is helping. A good picture book is helping make the lesson of sitting still and staying in your chair during the entirety of mealtime a lot easier to accomplish, because they have this book that they're able to listen to and look at. And so it's helping again with develop all of these different skills. And so I know I do seem to be touching on a lot more than just table manners, but to me, table manners is more than just, chew with your mouth closed and, don't belch at the table. It's making the people you're dining with feel good and enjoy your presence at the table. And all of these skills are going to be aiding that even more than your average table manners. And also, in a busyness of our life, taking even 15 minutes 3 times a day to just sit down with quiet, with no distractions, and just communicate, or just listen to a good book, or just practice your social skills. It's invaluable, and it is such a concentrated learning time and practice time. Step number 2 is to, after you've selected what table manners you want to specifically work on, to make a list of them, post them, and then clearly communicate them. Make sure that there's an understanding of what the expectation is. And then I would suggest that you review the posted list. And when I say posted, like we have a cabinet inside of our dining room, and I put it inside of the door so that we can have the door closed and have company over, and it's not, a tacky post up on the wall. But I would open that door and review the rules before starting each meal, especially at the get-go, until they just know them really well. Again, to put them on their best foot forward. Now, when I'm saying rules, this is a variable for every family. What rules is your child old enough to learn? What areas do maybe they particularly struggle in? What area is your pet peeve that you just want them to adjust in? We've all had those. And so this list, there is no right or wrong list here. It's what fits you. But some examples of what would be on ours would be, if you need to burp, do it quietly with your hand over your mouth, to chew with your mouth closed, to keep your rear on your seat at all times, to leave potty humor in the bathroom. I like to do that in general, just in life, but we do ramp it up at the dinner table. And so if you want to see more of what's on our rule list, or you want to have something, a baseline that you can go off of for your home, I have a printable linked down below. It's not just a printable, it is in Canva, which is a location where you can edit it before you download it onto your computer and print it. So you can take away, add whatever you want to do to the list that I have there, and then download it onto your computer and print it off and post it. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below. And then step number 3 is just, again, like with any new habit that you're teaching young kids, it's consistency and patience. So my kids have grown in leaps and bounds. And our average mealtime, we choose a couple books that we want to read through, and they all sit down, and I start reading, and they know to wait until I get to the end of a page if they have something they want to say or ask. And the little ones know they need to stay seated until the mealtime is over. And they know all of the rules and have grown a great deal in remembering them throughout mealtime. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. But they're getting better and better by the day. And so something I've had to frequently remind myself of is that this is a new habit, and we all want grace when we're learning new habits. And so that is, again, why making it a routine to sit around the table is ideal, because that's really the only time that you can be consistent with reminding them. Because if they're in front of the TV and you're doing whatever other task, you can't really monitor them that well. And if they're watching the TV, it's not really fair to expect them to remember that well. And so if they're sitting around the table, they're all facing me, I can clearly see whether or not they're forgetting a rule and can gently remind them. And the more consistently I remind them, the more consistently we sit at the table and put ourselves in a situation that I can remind them, the more quickly they will learn. Now, I suggest patience and consistency for children who are just learning new habits, and you can tell that they're trying. Now, if you have a child who knows the rules, remembers the rules, but chooses not to obey the rules, then I would like to refer to you on how to teach your child to respect authority and obey. That video is also linked down below. And then also, I cannot finish a video on behavior at the dinner table without commenting on the fact that what's even more important than the behavior at the dinner table is what's on your children's plate at the dinner table. And the video I have linked that should be popping up on the screen right now is how I take a very healing ingredient and sneak it into one of my kids' favorite treats, and how you can do that too. So I would suggest you check that one out next. Thank you.